We are doing something we call YCombinator World Tour, and we've been doing it for a couple of years. And this time we wanted to come to Ukraine and Kiev. There's a lot of applications to YCombinator, people that have applied to our program from Kiev and from all over Ukraine. And we want to come here and meet those entrepreneurs. I expect to hear and meet as many great founders as possible. We have our next program starting in January 1st, and the application ends in October. So I'm sure some of them are thinking about applying to YCombinator. Love to meet them before and maybe convince a few more others to apply to the program. I started my own company in 2007 or 2006 with a few co-founders, and we did YCombinator back then, so that was over 10 years ago. And since then, I worked in a few different companies, including Airbnb, where I spent the last 5 years. And having worked on the growth team at Airbnb for 5 years, I felt I was ready for a new challenge. And I could not think of anything more exciting than to work with we have over 1,500 startups now have gone through the program and helping to expand the YCombinator program and get more innovation in the world. That's what I'm really excited about. And I think YCombinator built a model to really foster new innovation and more people starting companies. And we've proven that with the program in the past, and now we're keep expanding the program to more companies. So to start your own company, you're absolutely going to make many mistakes. And what YCombinator does is help you, we help push the founders to make those mistakes as fast as possible so that you see if something is not working in maybe a couple of weeks or a month instead of a year. And then you get to move to your next thing and try more things. And I think that mistakes are inevitable, and you just have to figure out a way to persist. And what we've seen is some of the absolute best entrepreneurs in the world are the people that are persisting through the mistakes that they made, and they just keep continuing to build their company despite having a lot of setbacks. And as a kind of an organization, as a platform, YCombinator have obviously tons of learnings of mistakes that other companies have made. So we can tell you what mistakes to not do in advance if we know about them. So one of the mistakes is to start a company without having a technical co-founder. We've been saying that for many, many years, that if you're starting a new company, you probably want to have a technical co-founders, because most of the innovation right now is technical in some way. So mistakes I've made as a founder, I made many mistakes with the company I started, Heysan, back in the days. I think some of the most significant ones is probably launching your product too late. So one of the most important advice we give companies is you should launch as soon as you possibly can, because it's more likely you will die as a company because you launched too late than if you launched too early. So if you feel uncomfortable launching a product and giving a product to your customers, then you're probably launching about the right time, because you should feel uncomfortable. It shouldn't be glory to launch a new product. It should be stressful, because that's how it is to launch a new product. So launching too late is a very common mistake that people do. Other mistakes, I think, is not having enough technical people on your team. I think that's something that people underestimate how important engineering is, and YCombinator always try to empower engineers to start their own companies and be their own founders, and that is probably like a very critical one. A lot of companies are being started without a lot of technical knowledge, and we're trying to change that. So in the early days, it's really hard to evaluate the ideas. So when you're starting a new company, you're making a bet on the founders. You're not really making a bet on the ideas. The ideas is secondary, and the founders comes first. And some of the things that are important for new founders is the ability to make progress. So have you made any progress? Like, how fast have you made progress, and what kind of progress have you made? And we often ask them, like, what progress have you made? And in the application, you can even list the progress you've had in your whatever metric that you're measuring as your company. And that's critical, like showing that you can make progress and you can kind of be persistent as a founder is very, very critical. So that's something we look for, absolutely. We also look for technical co-founders, absolutely. And then we look for someone to have a unique insight on a specific problem. So the best ideas are solutions to problems you've had yourself. So It's better to have had a problem for a long time and then trying to solve it than to go out and grab a random idea in the world. It depends, but sometimes a good idea is enough. But if you're building something for consumers, an idea is not enough. I would say you do want to try to get the product in the hands of your users as fast as you possibly can, because they are going to help make your product. You're not going to make a consumer product in isolation. You're going to make it together with your users and listen and talk to your users as much as you possibly can in the beginning. So when you apply to YCombinator, you don't have to be registered anywhere. You can be not registered as a company at all. When you do the program, you become an American company. So at least some subsidiary of your company will be an American company, and that's where YCombinator and other investors will invest money in. So if you're a Ukrainian entrepreneur and you've incorporated in Ukraine or haven't incorporated, it doesn't really matter. If you get accepted as YCombinator, we will make that company that we invest in an American company, and all of the stuff is handled by the process of being accepted as YCombinator. So there's nothing that the founders have to worry about at all. And we've invested a lot of energy and time into making the process of raising money or taking in funding as easy and smooth as possible. So we have our safe documents on the website, which allows you to take funding with almost no legal cost, which is great for entrepreneurs in the beginning. We help them with incorporation in US companies. And we also, there's a couple of companies in YCombinator, for example, Clerky, that helps you with all the paperwork to actually raise funding. So as a founder, raising funding today is way easier than it used to be like 10 years ago. But if you're a Ukrainian entrepreneur and you want to apply to YCombinator, just apply. The biggest mistake people make is not applying, because it doesn't cost you anything to apply. You don't have to know anyone. You just go to the website and click apply and apply to the program. That's a good question. Whether educational systems creates more startups. We want to see more engineering in education, and we have funded a lot of companies and nonprofits who are helping people and students to code, and because engineering is absolutely critical in starting a company. Most of the companies that we see are technical in some sense of fashion. So for people to go to engineering school, I know Ukraine have a really strong tradition of engineering. For them, the entrepreneurship aspect is probably the more important part. And I don't think that you can teach entrepreneurship as an academic fashion. I think you just have to do it. Start a company. I think university can help do it, but the best that university can help is help your students start their own companies, not teach entrepreneurship as an academic discipline. YCombinator has a new fund called the Continuity Fund that do late-stage investment. That's usually much later than most other investors. So other investors will invest at demo day or maybe the A round after that. And YCombinator's Continuity Fund will invest much later. They just look at the great companies that are out there. They don't have any specific criteria that they're looking for. So far, they've only invested in YCombinator companies with one exception. So the best chance of getting an investment from them is to do their YCombinator program first.